you are on the owner operator side. So this episode is going to be talking about what you have learned being an owner operator and growing, scaling your business. And I've actually been connected with you on LinkedIn for a while. You used to create a lot of your own content, Ballin with Spauldin. So that was fun. I'm excited to jump in there. So tell us, where are you located and how, I guess, the size of your portfolio?
We're in South Central Wisconsin. We have 1,800 units to date, and we're in Janesville is where our headquarters is, Janesville, Wisconsin, but then we have properties kind of Milwaukee, Madison, and South Central Wisconsin.
So I work for an owner operator. We have 3,700 units. And when I started, we were at 1,800. Very clear, like milestones or moments that were transformative for me, where it's like aha moments, completely changed the way I think about things, or just learn something that helped me progress. So I'm curious, what kind of moments have you had as you grow your business as an owner operator that have been those like aha or milestone moments that made you shift in your philosophy or the way you operate?
There's been so many of them, but the couple that come to my head to start with are, I used to have this issue of like I would go and look at deals and I could not get past the fact of like buying something bigger than 8 units for a while. Like this was like 10 years ago. Like I thought an 8 unit for $400,000 or whatever they were going for back then was just like this huge deal, and it was hard for me to wrap my mind around. And so my aha moment came when I realized I needed to push my comfort zone. And so what I did was I imagined my comfort zone being a hula hoop around me, and I was standing in the middle of it, average size hula hoop. I'm like, I need to jump out of this hula hoop as far as I possibly can and let the hula hoop catch up to me and grow around me again. Right now my comfort zone's bigger. So I immediately went out and looked at, it was about a $50 million deal. And when I did that, I'm like, I have no idea how I'm gonna make this happen, but I put a bid in on it.
That was a 50 million, how many units?
That was, back then, I can't remember the unit count. I mean, we were a couple hundred units, I think, back then. I think it was like $140,000 a unit is what it would have been. So I don't remember the math on it. I just remember seeing the price and how many zeros there were. And then when I put an offer in, I started to talk with our investors and like started to reach out to other investors and new investors, tell them what I was doing. And that deal didn't end up happening. But my aha moment was, holy crap, I jumped so far out of my comfort zone. My comfort zone grew. And then the next thing that happened was the next deal we did was a $15 million deal, which was the largest deal I'd done, at that point in time. But the 15, prior to me going to look at the $50 million deal, the $15 million deal would have looked huge. But because I went out and really pushed my comfort zone on that $50 million deal, when I settled back down into that $15 million deal at that point, it was like, oh, this is easy. The numbers were so much smaller. So that was a big aha moment for me that really comes to my mind when you ask that question.
Once I get all settled into the new office and get, everyone kind of in place, I really plan to get on a more regimen of like underwriting more deals. And because it just really sucks right now, I'll get in a groove of sitting here for like an hour and trying to underwrite deals or calling brokers and looking at deals online. And then it's like every 20 minutes, it's just something stupid.
The dishwasher went out.
It's super hard to just stay focused for like a few hours.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that, this kind of alleviates that, and I can really take the next steps at, pursuing the real estate. Because obviously you and I both know that real estate's where I want to be. It's why we're on this phone call right now. It's what I want to do.
That's why I think the first call I said just sell the restaurant, right? Or close it or something.
Yeah. It'll be a lot better once I alleviate this stress,
Sure.
So put those people in place. Last week I had to fire one of my managers. Like today we're not even open. This is the first time in 3 years that we haven't opened on the Monday because we didn't have cooks, because I fired a manager. So restaurants just such a headache. But in terms of real estate, things have been a little slow. I'm still working through this deal. And that's a little bit of something that I wanted to talk to you about is the attorneys. Do you ever have like issues? These attorneys have been just fighting back and forth. And I'm like, I'm not an attorney. Like I'm trying to read through this stuff and like
you will have some attorneys that are going to be deal killers because they need to like control everything, right? And if it's on your side, it can be an issue. I've been super fortunate and blessed with attorneys that I've worked with that they've been more of deal makers, and so they've actually been able to help me like close deals and close negotiation points. The things that we don't want to necessarily move on, not moving on, but then figuring out what else we could move on or live with or whatever to still make the deal happen and move on those and give concessions there. Are they like multiple things or what's? Yeah, and you got to tell your guy, hey, how do we make this happen, right? Like, how do we make this happen? What I always try to tell him too is there's always a cost for something as well. So, okay, what he should be able to tell you is, okay, if this goes their way and we give them what they want so that we can, because we know this is a great deal. So if this goes their way, what's the worst thing that happens 3 years from now, 1 year from now? What's the worst thing that happens with it? What does it cost us? What's the potential cost? Because every single deal I've done could have been blown up by the wrong attorney.
Right.
And it would have never happened because the attorney would have been a deal killer instead of a deal maker. In the deals that we've had that have been very close to blowing up, there's always been a solution such as an adjusted price, or he just tells me, look, 4 years from now, it could be a $2,000 problem. And I'm like, okay, let's let them win on that one and let's move forward. I don't care. 3 years from now, it might be a $22,000 problem, right? So now you got to figure out, okay, can I live with that potential risk that's out there, even if it's a 50% chance that it might happen? Obviously things that have to do with like surveys and, certain things on the title, like there's certain pretty much non-negotiables, or there's a pretty substantial price adjustment, because if there's issues with them, you're going to have problems selling it on the back end. The next thing is you can just use the lender as a scapegoat, because if there's issues with any of that stuff, the lender, especially using Fannie Freddie, the lender is going to see that stuff on the title. They're going to see that stuff on the survey or whatever, and they're not going to let it go through anyway.